Hello and welcome to Vet Talks. I always found something quite strange. We celebrate childbirth, we throw baby showers, we post photos, we write captions about miracles. But periods, we whisper. Menopause, we pretend doesn't exist. Apparently, it's acceptable to talk about the female body only when it produces something for society. And this is not biology, this is culture. Because from biological point of view, menstruation and menopause are just as normal as a childbirth, but socially they are not treated equally. And when something affects half of the population, yet it's treated embarrassing or awkward, it's not private, it's stigmatized. And stigma is not always shouting or discrimination. Very often stigma looks like a silence, discomfort, avoidance, jokes, code words, and that strange awkward smile when topic appears. Let's be honest. How many times have you seen a woman hide tampon up her sleeve as if it's a weapon, not cotton? Not because it's dangerous, but because it makes people uncomfortable. And discomfort is one of the strongest social tools of control. We don't say this is forbidden. No. We simply make it uncomfortable enough so people stop talking. And that's exactly what happens with women bodies. Now, let's pause here for a moment and clarify one thing once and for all. A period is not malfunction. It is not a problem. It is not something unfortunate that happens to women every month. It's the body doing exactly what it is designed to do. Every month, the female body creates environment for a possible life. It builds, it nourishes, it prepares space for an egg to settle in the womb. And if there is no fertilization, the body simply releases what it prepared. And that is it. No mystery, no drama, no pathology. Very simple terms. No period equal no baby. So if we celebrate babies, it would make sense to respect the system that makes them possible. And here the part we rarely say out loud. Accepting menstruation is accepting your body fully. Not only the nice, cute, Instagram-friendly parts, but the real working functional parts. It is accepting yourself not only when you are useful, but when you are simply being what you are. And actually, this is where self-respect begins. Not in aesthetics, not in performance, but in understanding and honoring how your body works. Now, let's talk about something else we rarely question. Why do we still so blindly pick up this from our families? Why do we still measure a woman's usefulness by how many babies she can produce? Historically, it made sense. Babies were not just babies. They were workers in the family business. They were guards, they were security, they were survival. More children, men, more chances to survive. That logic belongs to a world without medicine, without protection, and without stability. Whatever stability we do have right now. But today, with the modern medicine, we have around 98% chances of survival. With modern life, children is economic burden for a decade before they start to make their own money. And everyone accepts this part. Everyone accepts that children today are not survival tool, and yet we still treat childbirth for a woman as if it were a fulfillment of a prophecy, as if this is what defines her success or a failure. And if you don't agree with me, let me quote what women still hear. They not giving a birth, not a real woman. When is the next one? Your clock is ticking. What are you waiting for? Have you frozen your eggs? We don't even notice how normal these questions sound, and yet they reduce a whole human being to a biological deadline. We still somehow measure female success or a failure through reproduction. As if this is ancient survival logic is still running silently on the background. We upgraded medicine, we upgraded work environment, we upgraded education, but we didn't fully upgrade how we measure women. So what is happening here is not really about biology. It is about what society learned to value first. For a very long time, a woman's body was seen mainly through the lens of what it can produce for others. Children meant survival, continuation, security. So childbirth became something visible, celebrated, and respected. But the parts of the female body that do not directly serve society, that serve the woman herself, were pushed into a silence. Menstruation, menopause, pain, fatigue, change. Not because they are less important, but because they are less convenient. Society is very good celebrating what benefits it, and much less comfortable dealing with what benefits only the woman. And again, this is not biology. This is learned perspective. Now, let's talk about another layer of this silence. We don't really teach boys how the female body works. Girls learn in shame, in whispers, in bathrooms, in panic before or during the first period. Boys, they mostly learn from jokes, from movies, from comments, from stereotypes. And then we are surprised when men say, she's hormonal, she is crazy today, he is just emotional. Not because men are bad, but because you cannot respect what you were never taught to understand. You can't have a compassion for a system that you don't know exists. If you don't understand that hormones affect neurotransmitters, that pain, fatigue, and mood are biological, not character flaws, then you interpret everything personally, and ignorance becomes mockery, mockery becomes dismissal, dismissal becomes normal. That is how stigma reproduces itself without anyone consciously wanting it. But the most interesting stigma is not outside, it is inside. It is what I call I'm fine philosophy. The moment you start talking about menopause or perimenopause, you will hear, isn't it too early? You are only 44. No, this is not about me. I am fine. And this is fascinating because people are not reacting to you. They are reacting to the mirror. If it can happen to you, then it can happen to them. And that is uncomfortable. So instead of curiosity, the mind chooses distance. Not me. Later. Someday. Not now. I am fine. Is not a medical statement. It is psychological anesthetic. It doesn't mean I feel good. It means I am not ready to deal with this right now. And listen, this is human. I perfectly understand it. But when I am fine becomes lifestyle, that's when it becomes dangerous. Because the body doesn't work like the mind. The mind can ignore, the body keeps receipts. And this is where another interesting pattern appears. We don't reject the topic. We bury it. We put it underground. Dig it deeper. Cover it with work, with productivity, with achievement, with business. And then we say, I don't see it. It is not here. But the body doesn't disappear just because we stop looking. And one day people say, it happened suddenly. Oh, no, it is not. No. It was just the last straw, not the first one. Trust me. Here is the real problem. It is not menopause. It's not periods. It's not hormones. The problem is trying to live on old rules in a new body. We keep pushing like before, training like before, working like before, sleeping less, expecting the same output. And then suddenly we are drained, irritated, disconnected, resentful, blaming people and blaming ourselves. Not because something wrong with us, but because the system changed and we keep using old software. And instead of adapting, we start punishing ourselves. And this is why this talk is not about fear. It is not about something terrible is coming. It is about something natural is coming. And you can either meet it prepared or exhausted. Preparation is not panic. Preparation is respect for reality. Reality does not need denial. Reality needs adaptation. So this is not about aging. This is not about decline. This is not about losing your value. This is about learning to cooperate with the system you live in. Because what we don't talk about controls us. And what we talk about, we can finally manage. And that's all this is about. No drama, no tragedy. Just respect for reality and for yourself. Just let it settle.